They are actively looking for someone who will anchor the experience and be compelling and inspirational while creating authentic connections. Their eyes are on you, the attorney. They want you to be successful. They are willing you to be successful. They are your biggest cheerleader because if you show up as a leader, they can relax. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello! Hello! Hello, Foster fam. Welcome back. Just a few bits of housekeeping as we get started. First, I know I'm sounding a bit like a broken record here, but it is so helpful when you leave a star rating or a quick written review. It's really just the only way I can get feedback from you, and feedback, especially on a new project, is super valuable. Second, I'd love to stay connected with you outside of here. Following me on social media is great, but if that goes away, being on my email list will really be the best way to make sure you can get the updates on new voice products or coaching opportunities. But even beyond that, if you're serious about developing your voice, you will get a free vocal tip every Tuesday. The journey has to start somewhere. So listening here is good. Getting my email is the next step. And I've put a link in the description. If you didn't catch the last 3 episodes, you'll want to go back and give them a listen because I covered the 5 fundamental truths about your voice and how to get better as a communicator. The last episode was the 5th truth, and we talked about how to practice hospitality to really turn your courtroom experience on its head and exponentially grow into your leadership. I'd love to hear from you and whether or not you tried any of the suggestions to get started with hospitality. Here's another tip to try out today in your depot or in your next focus group or the next time you're headed into voir dire, or actually, you can just try it anywhere with everyday people not related to your case at all. Remember, the best learning happens in low stakes situations. So here it is. Switch all of your why questions to how or what questions. Now, this is going to feel really strange to you because you know you're asking from a place of curiosity. For logic-driven people like you, it seems like the fastest way to get from point A to point B, and you might be right. It's not a bad question, why? But it's not a question that leads to connection. And how many times have I heard, I'm just trying to connect with the jurors. I've got to build rapport quickly with the jury. You know that getting connection is critical, and yet a why question automatically creates a sense of defensiveness. It just triggers an internal check and builds a wall of distrust. No one means to do it, but it happens. Why did you send that email? Changes to, hey, I saw your email and I was just curious. What prompted you to send that? Why aren't you in bed yet? Changes to, What's making it hard to get to bed on time? Why did you bring that? Changes to, hey, what's the story behind that? Why did you decide to blank? Changes to, how did you decide to? Why did you? Changes to, what led you to? Why do you like mobility, freedom? Plug in one of your underlying values in your case. Or why is blank important? And then change it to, what do you really enjoy about mobility, freedom, whatever? How do you show that blank is important to you? If you want them to open up instead of defend their position, give this a try. Change why to how or what. Pair that new language with an appropriate matching face, body, and vocal tone. And that's how you can practice hospitality this week. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. A too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. So, you've heard me say that no one was more surprised than me when I found myself working with trial attorneys. What in the world could I bring to the table from my training and experience in music and theater? From the arts to the jury box? Well, it turns out there's actually quite a natural crossover. And while you're not going to become the next Broadway star during your opening, there is a lot that can be learned from the theater arts. So today, I want to just offer some of the things that I've learned as a theater director and how these lessons apply directly to your next courtroom experience. First and foremost, directors are wanting you to succeed. They are your biggest cheerleaders in the audition room. They want you to be the answer to their problems. They have a show that they've committed to get produced, and they are in desperate need of a cast. So they are actively looking for you to be their lead character. Now, in the courtroom, this is no different. You might be thinking that you are the director in this scenario, but let's shift things a little and let's think of the jurors as the director. There's a court case that is happening. Jurors are now in desperate need of a leading character. They are actively looking for someone who will anchor the experience and be compelling and inspirational while creating authentic connections. Their eyes are on you, the attorney. They want you to be successful. They are willing you to be successful. They are your biggest cheerleader because if you show up as a leader, they can relax and just take in the information. They are or rather their brains are, so used to having to fill in the gaps, trying to make sense of things, trying to guess where things are going. But when you can vocally and non-verbally provide that roadmap for them, they are primed to just soak up what you have to share. Now, as a theater auditioner, you may think that in order to be cast, you have to be the best actor, the best singer, the best dancer, a triple threat. What I learned once I was in the director's seat, though, is that it's not about being the best. Sure, directors value skillful people, but they are actively looking for people that they will want to work with. When you're committing to a show, you're committing to months of your life sometimes. Directors want to work with people that they will enjoy, that will bring positive energy and a vibe to the whole cast. I really don't think jurors are any different. Even though they may be skeptical about the judicial system or uncertain about the process, they want to like you. Sure, they want to see competence, but they want someone with charisma as well, someone who is likable. So be likable. Be really generous with your physical energy and generous with your vocal energy. For example, option A. In order to do your jobs in this case, you'll need to learn a little bit about hiring practices and training protocols for delivery drivers. Option B, in order to do your jobs in this case, you'll need to learn a little bit about the hiring practices and training protocols for delivery drivers. Now, both show relative competence, basic clarity of thought, and provide a roadmap. But option B is more likable. It's a welcoming voice, an easy manner, an inviting presence. It's not just about being competent. And finally, the success of a production is not just about one person's talent or one person's charisma. It's an entire puzzle that directors are trying to piece together. And once again, jurors are doing the same. Yes, they're watching you and wanting to learn from you, but they are also taking in the energy of your co-counsel, your aides in the gallery, the defense counsel, and all their team members, and the energy of the court personnel. It's not just about you. Show up and bring your best. But trust that the jurors are taking in the whole process and can be trusted to complete the task that is set before them. These are just a few examples of what being a theater director has taught me about courtroom communication. Next week, I'll share my thoughts about what being a choreographer has taught me about courtroom leadership. No need to put on your tap shoes unless you just want to, and that's up to you. But do be sure to tune in. And until then, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.